One of the big concepts in science is that as multicellular creatures like plants and animals develop, their cells become different. They differentiate. And they're different both in structure and in function, meaning they're both different in the way they look, in the job that they do. And the structure and function are complementary, meaning they kind of help each other out. The shape of the cell and the tissue has a lot to do with the job that it does. I kind of equate it to a football team. When I take a look at these players on a football team, I can tell just by looking at them the job that they do on the team. These are the big guys, so their job would be for protection. These are the linemen. They move people and protect the quarterback. The same is true with our adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is basically fat. Fat are cells that are mainly for protection, and they protect our organs and protect them from damage. So consider this glass fish. If I wrap it in a bubble wrap, it kind of protects it so that it doesn't get damaged. And that's what adipose tissue does for our organs, like our brain and our heart. So when I look in the microscope, I'm going to actually be looking for something that looks like really big, kind of pillowy, bubble wrap type of cells. Muscle cells are the only cells in tissue that have the ability to get long and short. And by doing so, they can move bones. So this is what we'd call skeletal muscle. So we're looking for cells and tissue that have cells kind of going in one direction and kind of long and slim. Blood cells are a lot like this nail, or this screw. This is made up of metal called iron. And the thing about iron is that it combines chemically with oxygen. That's why the top of this is red. The same is true with our red blood cells. They contain this metal iron, and when it combines with oxygen, it turns it red. And the function of them then is to carry oxygen to all parts of our body. So when I look for red blood cells, they're exactly what their name implies. They're red. They should be small too, because they have to fit through the tiniest of tubes, one at a time. Cell membranes are very flexible. They're not rigid structures. So if you could think about trying to stack a lot of water balloons up tall, that would be kind of hard because they are not rigid. However, if I filled the balloon up with rocks, and basically bone cells are filled with rocks called minerals, hard substances such as calcium, then if I filled this balloon up with rocks, I could stack the balloons pretty high. And that's the job of the skeletal system, to provide a framework for our body. So what I have 4 different slides, and I have covered the labels so that we can't tell from the label what we're looking at. We're going to take a look at these underneath the microscope, and based on the structure, we're going to figure out the function, and therefore we can figure out what type of cell we're looking at. Now let's take a look under the microscope at our cells. The first cells are actually quite big. This is recorded under medium power 100x, and they look like really big pillows. The second cell was also recorded under medium power 100x. Look at the very dark deposits inside the cell. These long, slender cells were recorded at high power, so this is 400x. And lastly, the smallest cells of all were also recorded at high power. Check out the color, look at the size. Can you figure out what you're looking at?